All right, welcome everybody. It's April 27th. Welcome to the Kubeflow community meeting. Any new folks today? Want to say hello? I'll be your host, George. Anyone's first community meeting? Shannon Bradshaw? Not putting you on the spot.
Hi, I'm Shannon Bradshaw. I am working on education and specifically docs for Ricto, and also trying to contribute to the Kubeflow docs.
Welcome. Anyone else want to say hello?
Hi, this is Malini Bandaru from VMware, and happy to be here. We'll be contributing to a few sub-projects in Kubeflow and very excited about this.
Awesome, awesome. You are most welcome. Anyone else want to say hello?
Hey everyone, I'm Anna. I'm also from VMware and happy to learn and contribute to Kubeflow as well.
Awesome, awesome. And if you all figure out where you want to contribute, let me know and I can make introductions there. I think I passed along the calendar and all that stuff to y'all. Anybody else want to say hello?
We have Deanna on our team too, but I think she's on mute.
Nice to meet you. I'm Diana, also from VMware, and yeah.
Welcome, welcome.
Contributing to Kubeflow.
Awesome. All right, unless we have any other new folks, let's move on. First major item, Kubeflow 1.3 is out. That was an effort across multiple time zones, multiple people. I can't even name everyone who's gotten involved, working very late hours. Rui, I know you put in some very late hours there towards the end as we scrambled to get the docs into place. So great job, everybody. I've linked to the release blog here in the notes. If you all can check that out, tweet it, RT it, post it on LinkedIn, do all that kind of good stuff. That always helps out. We do have a few issues here. Yanis, the release manager for 1.3, we're just going to go over them to make sure we got everything kind of tightened up there, because we still have some, I think we have some distribution doc issues that still need to be sorted. I'm not sure. You tell me.
Okay, let me share my screen.
Yep.
So you should be able to see the community doc meeting now, right?
Yep, looks
great. Okay, let's go with the order as it is. First, issue 1798 was where we tracked readiness of distribution for the 1.3 release. So the release is out. So on one hand, we can probably close this. On the other hand, not every distribution is ready, but of course, this wasn't blocking the release because some distributions are ready more fast than others. It's always expected. I don't know if we have any updates from Google or Azure. Anybody here from Google or Azure? Okay, that's cool. But we can also ping Yuan to ask about Google. And then let's go to this issue, which is, I think it's about updating docs for various components. Okay, so this issue is about updating the docs for the various components of Kubeflow, central dashboard, notebooks, pipelines, cave serving, Katib, training operators. We have some docs right now, but well, we could use more docs for sure. And I think some are also a bit outdated. So this is up to the individual working groups to work out. Let's do a quick show of hands since we're here. Anybody here from notebooks that's taking a look at this?
I spoke about it with Matthew a bit on an earlier call today. So we were going to work together on that a bit more.
Okay, sounds good. And for pipelines, is by any chance anyone here?
Maybe one idea would be to add this issue to the pipelines agenda to their meeting. so that at least we know that it's covered in there.
That's a good point.
If nobody's here.
Yeah, that's a good point. And we can probably ping them on Slack as well, since it's more direct. I see Matthew has also pinged them in GitHub, which is nice. So care serving, I see they have ticked this. For Katib, is by any chance anyone here? From the AutoML working group?
Yeah, hi Yanis. So I think we just updated everything. Let me just update an issue as well.
Awesome. That's 2658 on the website.
Yep, thank you.
And for training operators, Andre, I don't know if you're again the correct person to ask. Do you know anything about this?
Yeah, it's fine. So I think we also like updated for the training part. So everything in the master should be. I think Terry, I'm not sure that he's in the call right now, but I think he updated the docs.
Awesome.
One thing that does not have a working group is the central dashboard. And since there was a lot of kind of new tabs as well, and, new functionality.
I don't think that's true. The notebook working group has the central dashboard.
Okay, sorry if that was my gap. Then, okay. Do you know if there's any plan to update those with screenshots and so on?
I'm not aware of it right now, but I will bring it up. And it's a very good comment in general to have screenshots. It's always nicer.
One thing I noticed with the central dashboard is that it links to how to install Kubeflow on different platforms, which is a bit ironic, seeing as you're seeing that after you deployed Kubeflow. But those links are now also broken to the new docs, so the central dashboard those should probably be removed from the central dashboard.
You mean the links should be updated or removed?
Yeah, they should be updated or removed. That I guess will need to be discussed. I think deploying Kubeflow is maybe not very useful after you've deployed Kubeflow, or links to docs to deploy Kubeflow, but just something I thought I'd throw out there because that was missed with this entire docs refactor, that there was actually links to there from the central dashboard component.
Yeah, I think that's very valid comment. Let's note it down in the notes here, and let's open it up in the Kubeflow repo with the notebooks working group. I think they will agree that we should either remove them or update them. Okay, and I think that's all the working groups for now. And then let's go to the next issue, which is about the community presentation. I don't have all the context here. Josh, do you want to take it from here?
Yep. Josh, you there?
Yeah. So the slide presentation, basically, we're just trying to take the blog post and then create a slide deck that kind of matches what we've said in the blog post. And so right now we have a little bit of setup on what the community and how the community's process works. And then we go through 2 overview slides, and then through each of the working groups, trying to have each working group provide 1 slide of what they provided. We have now a couple questions about whether and how we put in the external projects that are associated with Kubeflow, Selden, as well as Feast, and you could go Argo Flow, some of the others. So we need to figure out how much we extend, because we already have about 20 slides. And so a couple things. One, we want the working group leads at a minimum and contributors to look at those slides and provide comments so we can get them to a final version. We'd like to be able to see if anybody wants to participate in presenting those slides. We may want to do a slide presentation to the community, and looking at the dates, probably in mid to late May, trying to get everybody together. And I think that at some point we would want to, if we could, record that presentation or some amalgamation of everyone doing their own section, and then post that up. So if somebody wanted to get a review via video presentation, they would have that. So I was hoping that we could look at that probably the last, maybe the last meeting in May. But if we could do it earlier, that would be great. But I think that's probably about the time frame.
Josh, I have a quick follow-up for the video and the people that are new. What is the purpose of the presentation?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, can you just give us a TLDR?
Yeah, so again, you know, when we come out with a new version of Kubeflow, we want to kind of do a couple things. One, we want to expose the users to the new features and the benefits. And two, we'd like to, if the working group leads or the contributors want to present what they've done and get some exposure to the community, give them the option to explain what they're doing, so we can build that rapport between the users and the working group leads, and also get people to start to show up to the working group meetings.
Thanks. This is the, hey, I'm going to a meetup and I need a canned presentation, right?
Yes, and if you look at that, there's a couple of summary slides, I think 7 and 8, where I tried to get it down to like, here are the two kind of slides that I thought might summarize what we did with the new ML workflows. And then the second part is how we're improving the efficiencies. So you might have one set of slides that really appeal to data scientists about how the new UIs and the workflows, and then a second set of slides that may apply more to the ML engineers that are talking about efficiencies. These all will get refined as we make improvements, but at least we have these placeholders.
Mm-hmm.
So if I understand correctly, this is for someone who already knows Kubeflow and is just looking for what's latest. So there's no need for kind of a overview slide intro that.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. And we can put those in, or we should probably update those, Rui. I think it's a very good comment that, you know, we continue to evolve how to explain Kubeflow and make it more targeted. But there is this challenge about who you're speaking to. Am I talking to a novice? Am I talking to an expert?
Agreed.
Always
So
good to put a few intro slides, 1 or 2 in the beginning. And but could you please share the link to this document in the chat?
Absolutely. The link is in the second comment of the issue, which is 510 on community, but I will also toss the link in the...
Yeah, I will just say this. I've been a little hesitant for broad distribution because the slides at this point are not accurate. They've not been reviewed by the working group leads. Probably 50% of them have, and they tend to change even as we go through. And so if people just understand that in the current state, these are draft slides and they're going to change. That's all I ask.
I think they're not set to public, so you need to request access to view them.
Yes, that's exactly why I do it that way until we get a final version, David. Because I don't want to spread any dis or misinformation on accident.
All right. Any other questions for Josh? All right. Next, we have a release retrospective for the. Oh, I messed up the.
No, I I made changes. That's
Okay.
why.
Yeah. Hold on. Let me see if I can. There we go. That
Let
work?
me-
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. Okay.
I wanted to do a release retro after 1.3, so we can take all the lessons learned. And I don't know about you all, but I definitely don't want to do it that way again. So I want to start getting a document ready and that. And Yanis is feeling after KubeCon, since everyone's probably prepping for KubeCon. Does anyone have any strong objections to that as a penciled in date? I don't want it to be too far out because then we'll forget stuff. Even though Yanis, you've been writing things down, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Should we revise? I know that at least for documentation, there is
Mm.
kind of a release guide, which still is helpful for someone who's just arriving and who perhaps has to contribute to a new release. Is there a similar thing, or what's the asset that we expect to take out of this?
So I looked and there was a release handbook template that was copy and pasted from another project, but we currently don't have a release handbook where it's like, welcome, Rui, here's your checklist for
To release the next, yeah.
Exactly. I strongly, and I'll say this at the retro, I strongly believe that the next release team, not individual, should have a goal of delivering as a deliverable at least a first draft of a release guide that will take everything into account that we learned from the last one. You know, things like ensuring the release managers and the right owners files. You know, ensure that there's enough people in the documentation owners files, all that kind of stuff. And at least have that as a draft so that for 1.4, we at least don't make the same mistakes that we made in 1.3. And then every cycle, whoever the release team is, their job is just to upgrade that handbook. That's how the Kubernetes one started out really small. And now it's this huge, long process. I did look at that with Kimonis. It's definitely way too big and too big city. But I think if we were to start with just simple checklists of things for the release and just iterate them every release, that might be a good goal. What do people think about that?
I like the
So,
idea.
yeah, yep.
I like
Plus
the
one, go.
starting small.
Yeah. Go ahead, Rui.
No, I like the idea. Yanis is probably the person who's been through the pain, so he knows like exactly what needs to be done. What are the, the pain points, and you guys did a lot of improvements. So before this release, just I think you created a frame for these meetings, like with a specific agenda, like sending updates after every meeting over the email, like these small things that keep the community kind of active and everyone on the same page on what's happening. And that's great work. So it would be really good to document that, and so that the next people who take on that effort can replicate.
And everything like a draft schedule as well. Like I think we realized in the last plan, we only gave distributions a week of testing, right? And I think they ended up using 3 or 4 weeks. And even then it was really tight at the end. So maybe we start with 4 weeks and plan backwards from there, and make it clear to the working groups when their last freeze is and what feature freeze is and all that kind of good stuff. I think would help tighten up the process more. I'm also just Googling through a lot of open source projects and just looking for templates and things like that. Summer, and I think we can go over these at the meeting. If you have a favorite open source project on how they release or whatever, and you want to copy and paste and bring that to the retro, I'm sure there's lots of cool tricks that we can learn from other projects.
I think, and I also think the steps we have in 1777, these days I'm showing here, will make a good framework to create a schedule.
Yeah.
It's an overview of what's needed to release.
And then we'll make a point to remove all the single person. I think especially, I think if we have a release team this time, instead of one person, we avoid the, I woke up, I got a message from someone in another time zone, I make my change, and now I have to wait 24 hours. I think if we can figure out a way to kind of have a rolling, either a rolling release manager, or, you know, if everything is kind of written down so that a release manager can make a decision without it being controversial, because, you know, we've set guidelines for ourselves, that might be useful as well. So, but we could talk all about that. And is there anybody here who's run a release retro before? Because I've attended them, but I am not. All right, I guess we'll figure it out. All right, more information on that. Anything else on the release retro and all that good stuff?
The only piece I would, and this isn't the retrospective, but if there's work that we can do to get a change log out, I'd like to put that in the.
Ooh, yeah. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Because there are simple tools I think we can add at the beginning of a cycle to, you know, at least start parsing some of the stuff from the different repos, and then we can like jumble it up and cut out what needs and translate it to English and all that stuff, or translate it to human speak. Anything else? I don't even know how we pick a release team. Rui, have you seen any kind of documentation everywhere? Do people just vote? I don't know.
I don't know. I know that there's no process, right? Like there was this poll was kind of being dropped, and Yanis and your team very gracefully got that ball and pushed the ball forward. So I think there's no written process. So we have to get. So I know that the discussions before. So just before we started actually moving with this release, there was the opinion from at least Jeremy Louis that we should start releasing independently, like each working group release. So kind of some release for Kubeflow pipelines, some releases for notebooks and whatever. But I do think that makes us miss this platform view, right? Like just all that was accomplished now with version 1.3 with the new kind of with Khatib better integrated in the dashboard, and all these things are actually like work that spans a lot of working groups and not just like each working group working alone. So I think that we still benefit from releases as a platform.
Yeah, and we should probably, I'll add this to the notes, we should probably just make it clear that for the release, at least towards the end of the retro, when we're talking about 1.4, maybe it'll be a separate 1.4 planning meeting or something, but we should definitely get input from all the working group leads and things like that. Like, do they sync schedules? Do they release before? Because I know we had a KF serving release before, and then a point release relatively soon after, right? So I think if we can like give the working groups a calendar maybe more ahead of time, they might be able to make better decisions. I don't know.
Regarding docs, one thing that just came to mind is that probably it would be nice to ask owners of each documentation whether that documentation is version specific. Even like, I don't know if this works, but there's some documentation that we before marked as outdated, but it was not version specific.
Right.
I don't know if we could somehow tag pages that are like, okay, these don't need updating in the version. Maybe that's
one thing we could do that I've seen work in the past is as work is being planned, essentially on the issue itself where you're documenting the work to do, you tag it as docs needed or not, so you're thinking about it at that time. So part of the design process is actually evaluating what the current documentation says, or just because you understand the project, that this is going to be a change that's going to require a change in software that's going to require a change in documentation, and you just label that issue that way. So we know as part of, from the very beginning, the scope of work that's going to be required for docs.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
I would like to put a placeholder into what the user's expectation should be from the documentation. And what the community's kind of SLA is on the documentation, because it's always been a sore point for us. You know, there's a reason why lots of open source communities have vendor distributions and documentation. And I just think as a community, it's pretty hard to get really high quality docs. I think everyone suffers from that, but I think we should have a statement that says what we expect the user's commitment to be. Like they may have to go on to Slack, or they may have to go on to GitHub, or they may have to buy extra books or training.
I like to get us to a spot. This is obviously a long-term view, but you know, you have a design doc that has the feature that you want, and it has all that good stuff and the accompanying docs. And then that gets approved by the community, and then you implement it, and then the docs and everything lands at the same time. But I realize that's a unicorn, but you know, we can do a better job than what we did last time, I think. All right, anything else? Yeah. I'm pretty sure the retro will take multiple meetings because we'll have so many things to discuss and so many things that we'll be working on. So we'll make sure that we put out that information as soon as we have a date. All right. And with that, we have 3 proposals. Is Taya from Google here? I don't think she is. To discuss the technical steering committee, calendar refactor, things like that. You might have seen Don Foster from VMware making a full pull request. So a lot of our sigs.yaml, working groups.yaml and things like that are now been deduped. So there's a lot of work there to make sure that, like, we had some files where your meeting notes in the central document were different than like your actual working group document. So she went and like normalized all that to make that more consistent. So hopefully you won't notice that. It'll just be fixed. Other than that, are there any other items that people would like to discuss on the agenda? Or anyone join late that wants to ask a question or anything like that? All right. If you have something to add to the notes, you have about an hour before I copy and paste them and send them to the list, so that we have them. Going once, going twice. All right, everybody, we'll give you back, wow, almost an entire half hour. Again, congratulations on 1.3. Tell a friend, and
congratulations on 1.3.
I'm sorry, Malini, what?
I said congratulations for 1.3.
Yes, yeah. Remember, take work normal hours because KubeCon is coming. So everyone, take care of yourselves here. With that, thanks everybody, and we'll see you all next week. Remember, next week is going to be the West Coast US/Australia time zone, so check that out on the calendar. And with that, we'll see you all later. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.